Hello, this is Mr. Emmer, your instructor, and today's presentation will help you with your lab assignment, which is due, um, which is to complete annotated bibliography, just one citation with a narration. First of all, how do you do psychological research? If you take a look here, most people will Google information. There's some dangers in using Google for your information. For instance, my daughter, when she was in eighth grade, she decided to do research on Martin Luther King. And she went to her most reliable source, which was Google. And if you notice, there's a lot of different, when you do a search, there's a lot of different resources. Some are good, some might not be so good. She clicked one of the top 10 ones. It said martinlutherking.org, a true historical examination. She wanted to use this for her research because it ended in org. It sounded like a legit research. And when she looked at it, it talks about, there's a site, it says why the King holiday should be repealed, how to block in black invention myths. And it just seemed like a really negative website about Dr. Martin Luther King. And I remember my daughter coming to me and saying, "Dad, look at this site. It's exposing all this negative stuff about Dr. Martin Luther King." And so what I did is I wanted to look at the source as a website. So if you just copy and paste, I just need to copy this much here. And there's a website called Who Is. Where is that? The Who Is lookup. And basically, you just copy the website, and it tells you who is the author of this website. And when I look up martinlutherking.org, I notice the author is Don Black with Stormfront. And if any of you know what Operation Stormfront is about, it's the KKK. Now, so my daughter inadvertently found KKK as a source for her research. Obviously not a very good source. So you have to be very careful when you do research online. How do you weed out the crap? The best way to do that is go to your website and log into one of your rock classes and click where it says Course Tools. Now, I used to go to OneSearch, but I noticed it's not working anymore. So if you scroll down a little bit farther, you'll find what's called Student Online Resources. You're going to click Cyber Library. When you click the Cyber Library, you will find a wonderful tool. Back in the day when I was in college 30 years ago, we didn't have resources like this. We'd have to go to the library and actually find hard copies of the research journals, or they were on microfiche or microfilm, and we had to pay a lot of money to have it copied. Now this research is at your fingertips. It's so much easier to find. This is how it works. First thing you want to do when you get to this website is you want to click Advanced Search. When you click the Advanced Search function, scroll down and click Choose a Discipline to Search. We want to choose psychological journals. Okay, now the key thing here is I want to weed out the fluff. National Enquirer is not a good source. Even Time, People magazine, these are people who interpret research, but it's not an academic peer-reviewed journal. So how do I find academic peer-reviewed journal and weed out the fluff? First of all, you want to click full text results. Full text means they're only going to give you links that have the journals accessible online in full text. And then peer-reviewed. When you click peer-reviewed, it weeds out all the fluff. It only gives peer-reviewed academic journals. And then you start picking a topic. Since I'm an educator, I'd like to look into learning disabilities. Now, if you spell it wrong, you're probably not going to get very many hits. So it's very important you spell it correctly. And you go ahead and click search. And I just got 48,000 hits. on learning disabilities. I really don't have time to go through 48,000 hits, so what I do is I refine my results. The first thing I want to do is I'm limited to full text, peer-reviewed. I also want to limit to the last 10 years. I just want recent research on, so I'll go to 2007. That's close enough. There we go. So it broke it down from 48,000 to 23,000 journals, and they give you suggestions of what I could break my research down with. I could break it down by source types. I want just academic journals. I want to leave out magazines, books, reviews. So that brings it down to 22,000. I can also break it down by subject, and they give you suggestions. I want to do just academic research, and that'll leave everything else out. Now I'm down to 900 different sources. Another way you can break it down is you could add more delimiters to your research. I actually want to study the interaction between learning disabilities and poverty, how it affects the situation. I click search, and let's see, I could also break it down to maybe some just high school education. So I'm going to put secondary education. I'm going to make sure you spell it correctly. Okay, I'm down to 318 different articles. So I have academic journals, and I have, and then they also make, and I want just research only. I'm down to 18 articles. I need 10 for my annotated bibliography. I only need 1 for my assignment, for the lab assignment. Okay. Next thing you want to do is you want to create an account with this cyber library. It'll say sign in here, and just go ahead and click an account. Now I have an account ready, but you would click create a new account and pick a username and password you're not going to forget. I know they tell you not to use the same one, but I do, just to help me to access this. Once you sign in, you can save any of your research to a folder, and every time any computer you log into, you can go to the cyber library and access your research. So let's say I want to pick out 10 articles. So I read this one and it's like, yes, this is exactly what I want to use. I click add to my folder, and alternative educations, career readiness. So I'm going to go ahead and pick out articles that fit what I'm looking for, peer coaching. And then when I click folder, the articles I selected are inside my folder. So there I have it saved for when I do my annotated bibliography. I'll have my 10 resources already selected. Next, I want to pick one for my lab assignment, and I want to put it into what's called APA style. Now, APA style is a very specific style, and I'm going to go ahead and give an example here. When you write something in APA, first thing you want to list is author. You put their last name first, comma, first initial, and if they give you a second initial, you put the middle initial as well. So it's last name, first initial, comma, last name, first initial, comma, middle name, initial, comma, and then last name. You list every author that's in the research. And then you put an ampersand between before the last author that's listed, and with a period. And then you put the year the journal was published. It should be in parentheses, ending with a period. Next, you put the article of it's called the journal article title. Now here's the tricky part. A lot of people get this wrong. You only capitalize the first letter. You always capitalize after a colon, and you always capitalize proper nouns. Everything else should be lowercase. A lot of people mess this up. Please, when you do the article title, only capitalize the first letter after a colon, proper nouns. Everything else should be lowercase. A lot of people get marked down on their APA assignment because they forget this part. Okay. Next is the journal article title. I'm sorry, is the journal title. So first you list the article title, then you end it with a period, and then you list what's called the journal title. This one is the Learning Disability Quarterly, and the tricky part of this is it should be in italics. Not only the journal title, but also the volume number. The volume number here is the number of years the journal has been in print. So Learning Disabilities Quarterly has been in print for 39 years. So this is volume 39, and then issue number 2. Some, like this one, is a quarterly, so that means there's only going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4 in year 39. Some of them are weekly, so you could have up to 52 issues. Some of them are monthly, so you'd have up to 12. So that kind of gives you an idea. This number should be, if it's quarterly, it's 1 through 4. So it's usually not that big of a number. If you look at a source, let me show you a source. Here it tells you volume number, okay? And this one doesn't have an issue number. Okay, so you wouldn't have to put the issue number on this one. And here's the page number. Okay, so this is a journal title. I'm sorry, the journal article title. And this is the journal title, and then the volume number, and then the page number. And it will look something like this. Okay, journal article title, and then in italics, the journal title, and the volume number in italics. In parentheses is the issue number. Afterwards, it should be a comma. And after the comma, you have the page range, pages 113 to 124. Notice it doesn't say PP or any P. You just put after the issue number, comma, page number, period. After that, you write what's called your annotation. An annotation is a 2 to 3 sentence summary written in your own words. Please do not copy and paste from the journal. Instead, I want you to put it in your own words. This article is about, and then explain what it's about. Okay. A lot of these articles, please do not print these out. You'll kill trees. A lot of these articles could be 50 to 100 pages long. How do you read journal articles? Usually there's a little annotation at the beginning of the journal article. So this basically tells you what the article is about. Okay. Another thing you might want to read is the introduction. Okay. The part you could probably skip at this point is methodology. Unless you're studying to be a psychologist and take research methods, you don't have to worry about too much about methodology. And then I usually skip ahead to find out the results. At the end, they have what's called results, conclusion, discussion. And the cool thing they have in this conclusion is a lot of times they'll make suggestions for future research, which could give you ideas for your own research someday. So instead of reading all 50 to 100 pages, I'd say just read the little abstract. It'll tell you what the article is about, the journal research is about. Skip ahead to conclusion and find out what did they conclude from this research. And that'll help you write your annotation. Oops, I clicked the wrong button. Didn't want that one. Okay, next I have my annotation, and it's one huge paragraph. I want to break it down to APA style. So what you do is on Word, you highlight everything, right-click, and you click Paragraph. First thing you want to do when you do annotation, it needs to have what's called a hanging indent, which means everything after the first line is indented. Okay. Next thing you want to do is you want to set the spacing to 0 points and line spacing to single. Okay. Once you have that, you click OK. Notice it's now single space. You have a hanging indent after the first line. See how pretty that is? Then you just copy and paste into the Dropbox. Now I noticed it doesn't save all the formatting when you copy and paste into the Dropbox. If you want to keep your formatting, you could either file save and then upload the entire file, or I'm going to be pretty forgiving if the hanging indent doesn't show up on your lab assignment. So you could just copy and paste, and I'll be okay with it. You won't have any points deducted for this assignment. However, when you do the annotated bibliography, it'll be on a Word document, so you don't have to worry about losing your formatting. That's it for today's assignment. Hope you have a great week.